Right? Are we good? Healing. Yes. All right, enough music. Enough with the music. Yeah. All right, people, how you doing? My name is Tim Black. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the Tim Black Show. I am your humble commentator. You are watching the Tim Black TV, TBTV, Take Back TV. That's right, we're doing it here. This is the most watched left-leaning black media on the internet with over 26 million views. So, you're in the right place. I don't care who else you watch, just make sure you watch us. Put some diversity in your life. That's right, you know? Why should you have only one channel on your TV? Because you know the phone is the new TV, right? So add me to your channel lineup, TBTV. All right, guys. First thing I want to do is give a shout out to everybody who's tuning in from Periscope to Facebook to YouTube. What's up, people? How y'all doing? We want to jump right in. I got a number of topics to cover. Michelle Obama puts her foot in her mouth on her book tour. Ready for that? Are you ready for it? Nancy Pelosi punches left real good. She loved punching left. She recently punched left on 60 Minutes. We're going to talk about that. Buttigieg. He's polling pretty high. Up in the sky. We got to talk about him. And Trump tees off. He gets teed off. He gets teed off. He didn't tee off. He gets teed off because of Bernie's town hall on Fox. What you doing in my house? What you doing in my house, Willis? What you talking about, Willis? But before we start with any of that, yesterday I was in error. I made an error yesterday. And I really want to apologize for it. From the bottom of my heart, I want to apologize to my viewers for it. And there's no other way to say it. It was a complete oversight on my behalf. Unintentional, folks. Unintentional. Purely unintentional. I'll just read you this from a friend of the show. I've been sitting here crying, watching in real time on Twitter as she burns. I've been to that beautiful cathedral numerous times. Paris was only a 6-hour train ride from my hometown. She survived the violent French Revolution, the First and Second World Wars. It took 200 years to complete that church. So many people involved in the creation, architects, stonemasons, sculptors, metalworkers, tapestry makers, glass makers. Truly, one of the most gorgeous structures ever made by humans. A sacred place, a sacred space beyond, enjoyed by people from all over the world, as well as the natives. Religious or secular minded. A great loss. We're talking, of course, about the Notre Dame Cathedral, which was ablaze yesterday. Caught fire. I'm still not sure what caused the fire. Some say there was some type of remodeling or construction going on inside of the cathedral that caused the devastating loss of that cathedral. I don't know what the damage what the tally of the damage is, but I have a problem with religion. There, I said it. I have a problem with religion. So I'm not always able to go there in a religious type aspect, just due to the way I was raised in a very, some would call it a cult-like religion that I had to extricate myself from. I felt that that was what I wanted to do. Some people watch this show know I left home very early. due to the situation in my home life due to religious practices. But that doesn't mean I can't feel your pain. That doesn't mean that your pain isn't valid, whether you're religious or not religious. As my writer, my friend, and I would tell you who wrote it, but they didn't give me permission. They had no idea I was going to read this. So I just want to say my deepest sympathies go out to those who are suffering with the aftermath of that destruction, who lost a piece of themselves in this fire. I have no idea how many casualties, if there were any, but the casualty of spirit, the toll seems to be very high, and my thoughts are with you. The Wolfpack's thoughts are with you. Team Black's thoughts are with you. Everyone, my condolences and my apologies to anyone who was offended by that. It was an oversight. Now, let's move on, shall we? Let's move on. You know, yesterday I covered Bernie Sanders' Fox News town hall that some said he should not give, that I'm very glad that he gave, because, well, one thing I've learned is that if people who secretly covet your position or secretly pray for your demise give you some advice, you probably should do the opposite. You know, because the Democratic Party largely and the corporate media were saying how Bernie Sanders should not appear on Fox News, that he would be betraying the Democratic Party if he appeared on Fox News. Luckily for the viewers of Fox who don't often watch the MSNBC or CNN or, you know, liberal-leaning media, or left-leaning, I should say, corporate media, they had an opportunity to be exposed firsthand to the senator's policies, what he stood for, and just him in general. And I think that's a beautiful thing, and you should always embrace an opportunity to speak to others. So I'm glad Bernie did it. And I think Bernie did a great job, as I remarked yesterday. What I saw, the first half, I still need to watch the second half. It's been a very busy day here at TBTV. But I don't even know if I need to watch the second half, because Bernie Sanders definitely did a great job, because, well, Trump was complaining about it bright and early this morning. Yeah, see, Donald Trump sent out a tweet where he mocked Bernie's appearance on Fox News. He called him Crazy Bernie, and he lamented at the fact that Bernie Sanders was able to appear with Brett Baer, and Martha. Okay, so I'm about to go first names. First names, Brett and Martha. Trump didn't like it. He was like, oh my goodness, what are they doing appearing here? It shouldn't be on my channel, right? Trump opens fire on Fox News for Crazy Bernie. Town hall, Brett Baer was so smiley and nice. Doesn't that sound like somebody who's a little jealous? Might be even a little bit worried. Yeah, I know there's a lot of Trump supporters out there going, Trump's got nothing to worry about with this Bernie Sanders. Bernie can't mess with Trump. Trump's the killer. He's the best. He's the bee's knees. Now, if any of y'all say bee's knees, you got a problem, because you need to go back to the 20s. The 20s want their slang back. But, now, look, Trump wants it to appear like he's not worried about anything. That's the appearance he wants to project. That's called posturing. Or haven't you graduated grade school yet? Don't you understand people act tough when they're not tough? People can feign to be anything they want if it's advantageous to them. Some people pretend to be black for some reason. I don't know why. Doesn't help you get bank loans, but they do. Some people pretend to be, I don't know, tall. Elevated shoes. Some people put on toupees and pretend to have hair. I've never even thought about it. The point is this. Trump is Very worried about Bernie Sanders. If he wasn't worried about him, because see, here's the thing. When somebody's not worried about you at all, they don't mention you. Trump is smart enough to know mentioning Bernie Sanders doesn't do anything but help Bernie Sanders. Right? The best way to treat somebody that you want to ice out is to literally ice them out. There will be no discussion of their name, no mention of their name. Shh. They don't exist. They're dead to you. That's how you freeze somebody out. So Bernie Sanders did a knock-up job because we got Donald Trump talking about him. In the morning tweet, the president weighed in on the hour-long town hall hosted by Senator Bernie Sanders, which aired on Monday night, even taking aim at Fox News anchor Brett Baer, one of the event's moderators. So weird to watch Crazy Bernie at Fox News, Trump wrote. Not surprisingly, that Brett Baer and the audience was so smiley and nice. He's even mad at the audience. He's pissed at the audience. What kind of a politician does that? It's like, I'm going to crap on the audience that's my only audience, really. Well, that's because he's bitter. He's sitting up watching Bernie last night, just eating bonbons or McDonald's, something really bad, something that gives you diabetes, something bad for you, horrible for you. Not caring. Then he cut on that. Then that Bernie came on, and he just cried all in his Haagen-Dazs. Trump also took a swipe at the network for hiring Democratic political strategist down to Brazil. Very strange. And now we have down to Brazil. Listen to that language. Does that make sense that a president claims a network? That don't seem a little weird to you guys? That a president would claim a network? Huh? At all? Maybe? A little bit I don't know. Doesn't that violate something? He might as well, all this time Donald Trump has been boosting Fox News ratings, he might as well just say, hey, this is a paid sponsorship. Product placement, Fox News. I mean, let's keep it real. That's what he's been doing all this time. Why? Look, Bernie Sanders did a heck of a job yesterday on the Fox News town hall. I think that it's going to resonate. It proves, it shows, and confirms that the Democratic Party hasn't got their act together because they won't even get behind the most popular, the most winnable candidate to date, as it stands right now. They should have had Bernie run in 2016. Yeah, I know you're going to say, Tim, get over it. Well, you get over Trump then. You get over Trump in Russia. Get over Trump, Russia, then I'll get over the fact you stole an election, just through the election, giving it to Hillary Clinton was a way to guarantee that Trump will become president. So, once again, Bernie did a great job. I will watch the rest of it to see exactly what some other points that Bernie made. But he was really in his element. He was on point yesterday. Very impressive stuff. Now, before I go to my next story, this is where I remind you that this show is not brought to you by the DNC. It's not brought to you by the RNC. It's not brought to you by any political organization at all, anyone connected to a political organization, nor am I auditioning for a job with any political organization. Okay? Not doing it. Someone said, Tim, how much does Bernie pay you? Nothing. Zero. I'm toxic to any of these people. I've lost friends because I just call it like I say it. People who used to be my friend aren't my friend anymore. Funny how that works. But this is the dirty game of politics, and it happens. This is what happens. They keep on using you till they use you up. It's like a great Bill Withers song. That's what they do. But if you enjoy this content, you value it, become a member of the Tim Black Wolfpack. Tim Black Wolfpack, that's my group, my family. Team Black, join us on Patreon and join us right here on YouTube. And they're doing something new with Facebook too, opening it up. Pretty soon I'm going to have my own website where you can become a member directly and we can cut out the middleman. We're working on it. And I'll be able to hire some staff. We're working on that too. So, I want to address this because I don't like the innuendos that are floating around. There's like rumors floating around. I put out a video. If you guys don't follow me on YouTube, please follow me on YouTube. All right, just type in Tim Black Show. I should pop right up. If you don't rank for your own name, that's bad. So you should type Tim Black. I'll pop up. Here it is, guys. In a video that I released today, it was from a rant I went on yesterday. A rant where I asked, well, I did more than ask. I campaigned for you, for all Trump supporters, not Trump supporters, for all Bernie supporters, all Tulsi Gabbard supporters, all Elizabeth Warren supporters, all progressive supporters, to take it easy on progressives. Now, I didn't tell you who to vote for, but I felt that at this point, we don't need to be beating up on the progressive candidates. We've only got a couple. Some say 2, some say 3, some people say 4. Okay? I said that because that's how I felt. I didn't go watch Jimmy Dore's content, nor did I go watch Nico House's content in order to form this opinion. If I have something to say about Jimmy Dore or Nico House, I will say their names like I'm saying them now. Why are you pitting me against that Latino brother, Nico House, and my white brother, Jimmy Dore? Can't we all just exist in our own space? Why can't we all just exist in our own space? Why do we have to be pitted against each other? That's not what my intentions were. I just have a different opinion. I don't know what Jimmy's been saying. I don't have time to watch Jimmy's content other than certain parts of excerpts that people have sent me. I don't have time to watch Nico House, okay, to know what he's saying. But I do find it a little troubling that if I say, hey, guys, we need to work together and not burn each other down in this process, we're a year away from picking a candidate in the primary, and people say, oh, you must be talking about Jimmy Dore. You must be talking about Nico House. That makes me wonder, what the hell are they putting out there that makes you think that? Why do you think that I'm talking about them? I'm not talking about them. So to avoid the same drama I had with H.A. Goodman, the same drama I've had with other people, I'm not talking about Nico House, Mikasa Sukasa, my Latino brother, and I'm not talking about Jimmy Dore, my Irish brethren. Okay? But if we just differ on opinion, we differ on opinion. All right, so enough. And heck, Jimmy just left TYT. Can we have a week of peace where no one's beefing? Like, why pit me against Jimmy? Come on, man. Come on. The real reason Jimmy Dore doesn't like Tim Black. That video would get a lot of views, wouldn't it? Boy, people love drama. Gotta have it. Moving on. Oh, just one last caveat to what I just said. There's going to come a time, if everyone's in the race, that we're going to have to make decisions. And when that time comes, we're going to make that decision. We're going to definitely make those decisions when those times come. I just think when you got a race with Buttigieg, and Kamala Harris, and Beto O'Rourke, and Cory Booker, and Elizabeth Warren, and Hickenlooper, and Joe Biden might enter it, and Paul Ryan, and Pete Ryan, Tim Ryan, or whatever, Tim Ryan, and like all these people, Amy Klobuchar, we got a race with like 30 candidates in it. Why are we spending our time beefing amongst ourselves? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't think it makes sense. That's all. So, but there will come a time maybe that we may have to make some decisions. And then we'll have to push candidates in the directions we want. And we'll have to talk about the ticket, the way we want the ticket to look, or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that time may come. And when that time comes, I will not mince words. I will come full-throatedly. I will come adamantly. Right? Like the brother from the bad parts of Washington, D.C., the bad parts of Prince George's County, living on the streets at 16 years old like I've always been. Not homeschooled, pampered, or any of that crap. We're going to go bare knuckle and we're going to drag it out and fight for it. But that time is not now. It's not now. Now it's the time to help people like, I'm still pissed off that Tulsi Gabbard took so long to get to 65,000. That doesn't make sense. When, as I stated yesterday, when Andrew Yang just skipped to it like it was nothing. So that shows that we're not galvanizing like we should. She should have reached that. She should have reached that threshold a month earlier. That's all I'm saying. When Beto O'Rourke's raising money hand over fist, come on, man. And that's going to lead me to my next point. That's a perfect segue. All right. I want to show you a clip to get this started. All right. But let me set the table for you. Who is Pete Buttigieg? What does he stand for? Name one policy that Pete Buttigieg supports. Now, I know I'm preaching to the choir because most people who watch the Tim Black Show, unless you are brand new, you're not a conservative Democrat. You might not even be a Democrat for real. I don't know what you are, but you're definitely not a moderate, incrementalist, going for the neoliberal as long as it sounds good type of person. But if you happen to stumble upon me, you might not be aware of it. The question is very simple. What does Pete Buttigieg stand for? What does he care about? What policies? Not does he like dogs? I know he likes dogs. But what does he stand for as far as policy? What's he going to do for your grandmother? What's he going to do for my mom, who's 72? What's he going to do for my father? My mom's 72. What's he going to do for my father, who can't quit his job, who's just about to retire, and we're worried about how we're going to afford his medication that keeps him alive? We're wondering that right now. What's Pete going to do about that? What's his policy to deal with that? Oh, I know, he's gay. He likes guys. I don't care. I really don't care. Up to now, the selling point that Pete Buttigieg has is that he is honest about what I have no idea what. He would never cheat you in the game of blackjack, I suppose. That's what you mean. Well, anyway, I'm going to run a clip because there was a clip I saw on MSNBC where they were talking about Pete and polling. And you're going to love this.
You get a glimpse of it when you start registering in the polls, you start moving up a little bit, you can start to make some judgments about who it is who is attracted to a particular candidate. So we're starting to get a bit of a profile of who right now is behind this boomlet, if you want to call it that, on the Democratic side for Buttigieg. So one of the characteristics we're seeing is income. It seems among Democratic voters, the higher the income goes right now, the more interest there is in Buttigieg. Take a look at 3 recent polls here. Folks under 50K, this is how he's doing. Watch how these numbers go up as income level goes up. 50 to 100, his support jumps a little bit, then go to the highest group, 100K plus. Look what happens to his support. Suddenly he's there in double digits, mid double digits in one of the polls there. We're starting to see this consistently. Higher income Democratic voters right now seem to be gravitating toward Buttigieg. Another factor here, you talk about race. He seems to be doing better among white voters, among white Democrats than among black Democrats. Take a look at this. We got to go back a couple here, but here's 3 other recent polls, and you can see whites 8%, blacks 2%, 6%, 0%. This is a mistake. I'm sorry. This should say Emerson National. Forget that says Monmouth, Iowa, but the numbers are correct nationally in the Emerson poll. He's 13% with white voters, 2% with black voters. So you're also getting that characteristic. Other characteristics we're seeing that seem common to Buttigieg supporters right now, more liberal. Folks identifying themselves as liberal, as very liberal, some variation combination of that, that's where he seems to have the most energy. You go down toward the other end, moderate conservative, that seems to have the least energy for Buttigieg. And then also, as we say, highly politically engaged. Folks who are following this the most closely. There's a theory out here that part of this is very media driven. Well, folks who are consuming the most media may be the most enthusiastic about him as well.
All right. Well, Pete has led really with his personal story at this point. Right there, you saw him talk about kindness and love. We've heard a lot about humility. So is it easier at first blush for those voters who aren't struggling financially to say, I'm looking to vote for someone based on who they are? We haven't heard that much about policy yet. And if I am someone who is struggling in terms of wages or not knowing if I have my health care secured or if my kids don't go to a good enough school or I don't have health care provided, I might not know what Mayor Pete is offering.
Guys, I got to cut in there because something, now her name escapes me. I'm really bad with names lately. But I've seen her before, and she, she's a commentator on MSNBC. She points out something that I think is very important. Who are the type of people that don't need to know what kind of policies that a candidate stands for? The type of person who's doing pretty well right now. See, if you're not worried about how your mom's going to be okay as she advances in age, how you're going to afford that medication, I guess I don't think you need to concern yourself with, I don't know, healthcare or pharmacy prices or what your candidate stands for in the way of healthcare. Because, you're good. This is the type of person that votes for Peter Buttigieg. This is the type of person that supports him. This is the type of person that donates to his campaign. This is the type of person that floods in my comment section trying to support this guy, talking about how great he is. How can it be great if you don't know what he stands for? How can it be great if you don't know what policies he stands for? So I love the fact that she made this point. It needs to be made. In fact, there's a level of classism in the Democratic Party that must be addressed. Now I know some people, they point at they point over at the Republicans. They go, "Oh, these Republicans, these guys, these horrible guys." Well, how horrible is it that we have people in the Democratic Party who don't care about poverty, don't care about poor people struggling, don't care about these real bread and butter issues, and it's a recipe for disaster. But I'm going to go ahead and let the clip play some more.
I know what Elizabeth Warren's offering.
Well, it's interesting, exactly.
Back it up
Not knowing if I have my health care secured or if my kids don't go to a good enough school or I don't have health care provided, I might not know what Mayor Pete is offering. I know what Elizabeth Warren's offering.
Well, it's interesting, exactly how you want to explain it. There's different theories out there, but what we are seeing when I talk about these patterns is something we've seen before. This goes back through the modern era in Democratic politics. Not me, but somebody else coined the term. I think it's a very good one. You see traditionally these two types of tracks they talk about for Democratic candidates. Some they say the beer track and the wine track. And the wine track candidate typically is the one that it skews wealthier, it skews higher income, it skews more politically liberal, those sorts of things. Howard Dean, Paul Tsongas, Bill Bradley, Gary Hart. These are names from the past that put that sort of wine track coalition together. What you're seeing early on with Pete Buttigieg, it looks in a lot of ways, it's new in some ways, just in terms of what he is and who he represents. But in other ways, we've seen this coalition before. This has the makings of the traditional wine track coalition.
Well, President Trump would be the beer track. But at the same time, I listened to Bernie Sanders last night, and Bernie Sanders is the one and only person at this point, if you compare to Bernie Sanders or to a President Trump, who has that economic populist message. That's the message that won for President Trump, yet his policies have hooked up the elite of the elite.
Well, and let's see. I mean, I say
so he went beer to wine.
It's early, but I think the lesson when I say those names from the past, the lesson for Buttigieg, look, if you're the mayor of South Bend and you're getting numbers like this at all, that's gravy for you in some ways. But if you want to compete and win the nomination, you have to expand. You have to bring in black voters. You have to bring in voters with lower incomes than this.
Wine before beer. I don't know. Remember that. You're in the clear. Who knows? The question is, can you get both?
Very interesting, isn't it? Good stuff. Right. So she broke it down. They broke it down. Actually, they both did in a way. I noticed that she pointed out that Bernie Sanders has their bread and butter type issues, the issues that working people that live paycheck to paycheck, or people who work for a living, frankly, who don't make over $100,000 a year might be concerned about. She pointed that that's the audience that Trump has. And he pointed out that seems like the audience that Bernie Sanders has as well. Just want to make note that Bernie Sanders had that audience in 2016. So it always goes back to the same thing, that the Democratic Party is willing. In fact, they are very happy and comfy to lose with a Pete Buttigieg than they are to win with a Bernie Sanders. If it means they have to change the way that they address wars, or the way that they address Wall Street, or bank regulation or deregulation, or the way that they address all of these issues that really hamper the working class people. Right? They want to push through TPP. Like a real working class, a president who's looking out for the working class, looking out for middle income folks, below middle income folks, poor folks, people struggling at the poverty line, people just trying to make it. That's not a Pete Buttigieg fan. But I also find it kind of interesting where they pointed it out that Pete's attracting the whites. He's attracting white folks. Only 2% of black folks are, and I saw 0 in a couple of those columns. At least one of them was 0 in it. You know, if Bernie was polling at 0% black or 2% black, we'd never hear the end of it. Never hear the end of it. But let Pete Buttigieg be at 0 or 2% with black voters in silence. So, trying to give you a little bit more meat on the bone here about Pete Buttigieg. There's an article by The Guardian. It says 9 things to know. Oh, no, this is not The Guardian. There's an article by The Guardian. This is by publicintegrity.org. And it says 9 things to know about Pete Buttigieg, okay? And we're going to run through a few things about Pete so you know a little bit about him, okay? So what qualifies Pete to be a presidential candidate? Why is he polling at 8% with white folks that make over $100,000? Well, because he's the mayor of South Bend, Indiana. He was elected when he was 29 years old. That made him the youngest mayor of a city with more than 100,000 residents, with just over 100,000 is where it really lies. He served in the U.S. Navy Reserve officer from 2009 to 2017. During 2014, he took a leave of absence while mayor to serve a 7th-month tour of duty in Afghanistan. Prior to holding office, the Harvard graduate did a summer internship with Senator Ted Kennedy of Massachusetts. Worked the campaign trail for Democrat John Kerry's 2004 presidential run, door knocked for Barack Obama 2008 presidential campaign, and became the research director for Democratic Jill Long Thompson's gubernatorial campaign in Indiana. Buttigieg also ran for state treasurer in 2010. So, just looking at this so far on Pete, he's an insider. Doesn't kind of jive with the whole, I'm folksy. I'm from a small Midwestern town. I'm an outsider guy. I'm down home. I'm a regular folks. Does it? Inside. The Kennedys, does it get any more inside than working with the Kennedys? I mean, that is the epitome of insider. Worked with John Kerry, worked with Obama. But that's what the elitist group, elites want. They want that guy. They like that guy. Gives me all types of pause. After Buttigieg graduated from the University of Oxford with a coveted Rhodes Scholarship, he worked for 3 years at the consulting firm McKinsey & Company, focusing on energy and economic development. Yeah. Just so you know, McKinsey & Company is the same organization that Chelsea Clinton worked for. Once again, very insiderish. Yeah. Don't like Chelsea Clinton, but love Pete because Pete's gay and he used to be a mayor and he's folksy. He's a Harvard grad, a Rhodes Scholar who worked for Kerry, Obama, the Kennedys, and now and worked the same place that Chelsea Clinton worked. Yeah, he's going to attract a lot of blue-collar voters. But they don't know any of this about him, do they? Do you think people know any? No, they don't. They know he likes puppies, and he's got a great partner, and he thinks integrity is important, and being honest, and all of the all the things that a good Boy Scout should do to get a merit badge. That's what he knows. That's what he talks about on the campaign trail. And it appears to be good enough to get 8%, to be polling at 8% over people like Elizabeth Warren with a track record. Now, don't get me wrong. I've been critical of Elizabeth Warren, but come on, guys. Come on. She took a hit with the, with the whole Native American blood thing, but I think it's a slap in the face, frankly. That's all I'm saying. I mean, I got a lot of problems with Cory Booker, but Pete, he ain't even been on the stage long enough. How's Pete polling at 8? What's Cory Booker polling at? I see he had to restart his campaign. He had to relaunch it because the first one fizzled out. It was a dud. The last launch didn't work. Failure to launch. Houston, we're not getting any air. Houston, pull the chute. What else about Pete? Buttigieg raised $370,000 from January 2016 to December 2018 for his Pete for South Bend campaign committee. According to the Center for Public Integrity Analysis of Campaign Finance Disclosures, filed with the St. Joseph County, Indiana Election Board, Buttigieg has $119,000 cash on hand. I don't care about this. I want to know where his money came from. Aha! Buttigieg's top donors from 2018 include Mueller Group CEO Mitchell Hinton and Mark Neal, CEO of the real estate firm Bradley Company. Buttigieg's top corporate donors that year included Michigan's Four Winds Casino and Niles, Michigan-based C Construction Company. I don't know those companies. Somebody do some research on those companies. See, if I had we had a Tim Black staff, we would already have done that. Yeah. But we'll get there. Buttigieg launched an initiative during his first term called 1,000 Homes in 1,000 Days, which called for tearing down or rebuilding deserted homes in South Bend. Donors in the construction and engineering fields must have noticed many of the biggest checks to his Muriel campaign or committee came from individuals listing their occupations, according to the Center for Public Integrity Analysis findings. I don't know. Former Democratic National Committee Chairman Howard Dean speaks at an event. I don't know about this. Buttigieg also ran for the DNC chair seat that Tom Perez ended up getting after they stole it from Keith Ellison. But he bowed out because he said he saw no way of winning. Pete realistically has no way of winning the nomination here either, but he won't bow out anytime soon because, well, how can you thwart Bernie Sanders if you don't let a guy like Pete run and take some of the vote? That way we got to go to the second ballot. To fund his DNC bid, Buttigieg created a political committee called Pete for DNC and raised more than $548,000 during the first 6 months of 2017. Wow, that's a lot of money for a small town mayor that no one ever heard of to raise. Don't you think? According to disclosures with the Internal Revenue Service, top contributors include philanthropist and sister Deborah Simon and Cynthia Simon, Carol Schwab, Pomerantz, Charles Schwab, Facebook Chief Product Officer. Oh, Facebook. $33,000 from Facebook guy. Facebook co-founder Chris Hughes. Oh, got a lot of Facebook money. Buttigieg launched a hybrid super PAC called Hitting Home, which he used to spread money amongst 37,000 among dozens of Democratic candidates running for U.S. Congress in conservative districts. Overall, Buttigieg's PAC raised about $400,000 in a year. Wow. Also, Pete's got a book out called The Shortest Way Home, One Mayor's Challenge and a Model for American Future, which comes out or came out in February, because this is old. So that's a little bit of background on Pete. Just for the record, there's a little bit of what's the word for it? There's a little bit of concern about the poor people in South Bend and how they were affected due to the renovation projects of Pete there in South Bend. And don't get me wrong, there's some people that were happy about it, but there's a lot of people who are a little sad because their house didn't get fixed up. Their house got torn down and they was told to go. This is the article from The Guardian, and it talks about this. It says, this is Pete's selling point. This is how he closes the deal on a lot of voters. Listen to this. It's important. You guys want to learn how to sell snake oil to people who don't even have snakes. This is the tactic you want to use. Listen to this. He says, you have a handful of candidates from the middle of the country, but very few of them are young. You have a handful of young candidates, but very few of them are executives. We have a handful of executives, but none of them are veterans. And so it's a question of what alignment of attributes do you want to have? Can you say PSYOP? Still won't tell you what he supports, what he's about, what his policies are, what policies are making or breaking policies for him, what he'll do as president, just stuff that you should know about him. In fact, that's how they open this. Pete Buttigieg is the Democrats' flavor of the month. Just don't ask what he stands for. I spent enough time on Pete, I feel. But it's shameful that we have a candidate polling so high over other candidates who have actually have track records of getting things done or legislation that they support or policies, and we got this guy who just moseys in. But you know what it is? It's the greatest testament to the fact that how important media coverage is. Pete is the poster child for what it means to get favorable media coverage. That's the reason why Pete's polling so high. That's the reason why he's doing well, because he gets favorable media coverage. In fact, in The Guardian's put out several glowing pieces of cow manure on paper about Pete. Praising him for what? I don't know. Because he speaks languages. They might as well just play some theme music, some Barry Manilow music or something, and have him walk in with the lights dim. I mean, it's all about who he is. They were in article after article about his life experiences. It sounds a lot like somebody else we know. Mr. Hansy. Oh no, not Joe Biden. I'm talking about Beto O'Rourke. Where it's all about who they are, what they feel. It's all about what notes they can hit when they sing. Nothing about what they'll do for us. You would think a party, you would think a people that hated Donald Trump so badly would want to get a candidate that actually stood for something. But you'd be wrong. You'd be wrong. All right. It's sad, man. It's really sad. That's why I say we got enough to fight for. I don't have time to take shots at Bernie Sanders or take shots at Tulsi Gabbard. I'll cover them. I'll cover them extensively because who else is going to cover them? I mean, the mainstream media is not going to cover progressive candidates, not with any justice. We have to be the home that covers them, right? But when it comes to hitting people, I'm going to save my hits for Pete and the rest. Not just Pete. And Beto. And Kamala. All right. Speaking of hits, you can tell a lot about a person by who they choose to hit. Right? Right? Recently, Nancy Pelosi sat down with 60 Minutes, and she made some comments that I thought were very interesting. She took some swipes at AOC. She said they brought up AOC having, there's a split in the party. And, you know, what are you going to do about it, Nancy? And Nancy just brushed it aside, you know. All right, we're just talking about a couple of people. It's like 5 people who are, you know, with AOC. Then she had the audacity to claim that she herself, Nancy Pelosi, is a progressive. In what world is Nancy a progressive? I don't know. In the wonderful world of make-believe and lollipops and blue unicorns and, I don't know, slushies and Slurpees and doo-doo-doo and doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, rainbows. Ooh. You goofballs. The word progressive has to stand for something. If Nancy Pelosi can use the term progressive, I mean, hell, man. I guess I'm a short Jewish guy from the Bronx. I don't know. I mean, if words don't mean anything anymore, you just, definitions of words matter. You can't just be able to, you know, I guess my phone is orange. It's because I say so. I mean, I want to call, that looks like orange to me. Then Nancy Pelosi went even further. She totally diminished the win that AOC had there in New York when she defeated Joseph Crowley. She beat the brakes off the guy, and what does Nancy Pelosi say? She said, well, in the district that Ocasio-Cortez is from, this glass of water could win. It's so blue, Democrat. Yeah, Nancy. Oh, man. Oh, Nancy, I wish I would have been able to interview you on this one. Just to look you in the eye and tell you how much of a faker you are. Nancy, the real point is, how did AOC become the person to defeat the Republican? How did it happen? How about mentioning that AOC was vastly outspent by an establishment? And not just, I want people to really remember who Crowley was. Crowley was Nancy. He was the guy who was slated to become the successor to Nancy Pelosi. That is Speaker of the House. And he was beaten by a bartender. Now, there are people that send me stuff about Ocasio-Cortez all the time. Oh, she's not that smart, she's not that bright, she's blah, 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 blah. And I get it. She's too temperamental. Yeah, she is very temperamental. She doesn't follow me because I put out a video where I was critical of her. That's how temperamental she is. And I guess I'm temperamental because I'm commenting about it. At least I can admit it. Here's the point. I have a point here. The point is this. You can't take away from her the fact that she beat the brakes off Joseph Crowley. Yeah, a Democrat's going to win that district, but we didn't know which Democrat was going to win. And if you were to look back and jump back in the time machine, there would have been no way that people would have predicted it. In fact, the only person that predicted it, even thought it was strongly possible, was Ro Khanna. Congressman Ro Khanna was the only one, except for Bernie Sanders, who supported AOC. And even Ro Khanna was like, oh, I don't know. I gotta support Crowley too, because he supported me on other legislation. I gotta get work done here in the Congress. You know, things that people don't think about. They're like, I don't care about you having to get your policies done and get your legislation passed and needed people with a seniority to help you get jobs done, get stuff done. People don't want to hear it, but that's part of the job. But anyway, they crucified him people crucified Ro Khanna for supporting AOC on both sides. Progressives crucified him because he didn't go all the way in supporting her by supporting a split decision on Joseph Crowley. And then the establishment crucified Ro Khanna because he supported AOC, and that threw all his eggs behind Crowley. But I digress. The point is, folks, AOC kicked butt, and Nancy Pelosi would not give her the respect to admit that, yeah, we got some progressive people. So my point of this whole thing, I'm covering this, and we're going to get into the article a little bit more, but I want to tell you, the Democrats hate progressives. They hate them. Nancy Pelosi She punches harder at the left than she does the right, and that says a lot about her, but not just about her, but about the establishment and about the DNC and about what they really stand for. What they really stand for is destroying progressives. They're not there to stop Republicans, they're there to stop us. They're not there to defeat Trump, they're there to stop us. We're the ones that are going to hurt their pocketbooks, not Trump. Trump said he was going to go in there and he's going to put an end to this and help the tax break and get tax breaks to the poor people and help bring jobs back. And what did he do? He went in there and did the bidding of the 1%. That's exactly what he did. So, folks, hey, the writing's on the wall. It don't get no clearer. All right? 70 Democrats have been voting in tandem with Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, despite House Speaker Nancy Pelosi scoffing that the far-left Democratic wing was only like 5 people. Yeah. Man, I miss my applause button when times like this. Nancy Pelosi said it was like 5 people, but yeah, like 70. 5 and 70 is a big difference, Nancy. So were your lines, Nancy, or you just can't keep the numbers straight in your head? Maybe it's time to chill. Get a job up. Pelosi downplayed the influence of a new wave of progressives, particularly Ocasio-Cortez, who pushed the party leftwards. During an interview with CBS News' Leslie Stahl on 60 Minutes, which I just told you. I don't need to reread this stuff. I already hit it. And I don't even need to read it. It's part of me now. Presidential candidates Eric Swalwell. I don't even know. Presidential candidate Eric Swalwell. I don't even know who this guy is. I didn't even know there's a presidential candidate called Eric Swalwell. What? Who is this guy? That's what I'm saying. Why are we beating up on each other? We gotta get, what's Eric Swalwell about? Anyway, so presidential candidate Eric Swalwell and Tulsi Gabbard both voted with Ocasio 95% of the time. Representative Adam Schiff, the House Intelligence Committee chair, also voted with her 95% of the time. Oh my God, looks like it's not an aberration. Looks like this is a real thing. This thing is a thing. You know what I'm saying? All right. This is all. Let me leave you with this from Nancy. She said, Nancy said this. She said, by and large, Democrats by and large know that we have to hold the center. That we have to go down the mainstream. And said she said reject socialism as an economic system. Whew. You know, we want a society that cares about one another. We want a society that benefits all Americans, all taxpaying Americans, not just the top 1%. That's not a socialistic system. That is a system that makes sense. Maybe the closest terminology to it would be social compared to what we have, but I think also we have a capitalist/socialist system right now. What do you think safety nets like Medicare are? What do you think institutions like school, public school are? Socialistic in nature. Nancy Pelosi is telling you loud and clear, telling us all loud and clear. It's telling me loud and clear that the Democratic Party under her, the leadership, mainstream. And how stupid is it, guys? I mean, come on, how stupid is it? We just saw Donald Trump come out of nowhere and beat the most well-known female candidate ever, possibly, like ever could be. I think we would admit that. I didn't say liked, I said most well-known. Maybe that was part of the reason why she lost, Tim. Oh, stop saying that. But you got a good point. The bottom line is this. The reason why Trump won, part of it, is he was not mainstream. And the Democrats still haven't gotten it because they spend all their time worried about Russia and not doing a thorough forensic investigation into why they lost. And they have no intentions of doing it. If they haven't done it by now, and we're 3 years away, they're never going to do it. How are we doing for time? Trump, Buttigieg, Nancy Pelosi, Michelle Obama. Now, I typically don't have much to say about Michelle Obama. Actually, I also typically don't have anything to say about Melania Trump. I pretty much stay away from wives. I've got a wife, so that makes sense. But recently, there was a comment made by Michelle Obama that I would like to highlight on this show because it was just that bad. I feel almost like if I didn't cover it, there's something wrong with me. That's how bad it was. Hold tight for a clip.
I'm going to turn now to some comments that were made by Michelle Obama, who is equating President Trump to a divorced dad. Let's have a listen to exactly what she said.
We come from a broken family. We're a teenager where, we're a little unsettled and, having good parents, is tough. Sometimes you spend weekends with divorced dad and that feels like it's fun, but then you get sick. That's what America's going through. We're kind of living with divorced dad right now.
She got some chuckles, but that was a sexist comment.
Oh, I think so. And I think divorced dads
dads everywhere
who are good dads are probably upset about it. I mean, we understand what her point was, which is...
Or honestly, a lot of them might have more than just a weekend with their kids. All right?
That's right. And
there's some good dads. Okay, let's leave the good dads off of this one.
And we agree, but her point was dads are for fun, and after a while, the fun wears off.
Dads aren't serious. Dads don't really take care of you.
Right, and you realize, you can't eat pizza every night. That maybe your tummy will get upset after a while. It was a bad metaphor, I think, but we understand what she's saying, which is okay. Those feelings you had about Donald Trump being for change and all good things will happen have probably worn off with the American people. I think it's wishful thinking on her part.
It's surprising to me that Michelle Obama would make this mistake.
Yeah. Well, do you think it was a mistake?
Yes.
You think it was a mistake? Okay. Well, Michelle Obama is on a book tour, and she has spoken her truth. She knows this president, and she's talked about Donald Trump putting her children's lives in jeopardy and her life in jeopardy. Okay, so that's from the place I believe she's speaking. Was the analogy? I know. Was the analogy great? It may not have been the best analogy, but at the same time, what she spoke to, and I'm looking beyond the words. Her words may not have been great. I mean, there are some children who do have dads that they don't want to go to. There are some of those parents that are not the greatest. So I understood that part of what she was saying.
But when you start saying, "We'll look beyond Michelle Obama's words," what does that say?
No. It wasn't. What I said, it was not the best analogy. Okay. But at the same time, looking at what she was saying, and I also looked at Ilhan Omar, if that's what you're saying. I looked at her words as well.
Or anyone.
There's so many. Stephen King. I mean, well, let's go there. But here's the thing. What she was saying is we are a divided nation. We are going through growing pains, some serious tummy ache, nausea, maybe even calling Earl. I don't know. But she was saying we're going through growing pains, and we need to be adult about it, being the parent. As the president of the United States, you are the leader. You are basically the parent of this nation. You're trying to bring unity. You're trying to keep things calm. You're our safety net.
My God. Oh, God. All right. That has to be like one of the worst defenses I've ever seen in the history of garbage media. Oh, that was bad. I don't know if it gets worse. Could it have been worse? I mean, maybe it's possible April Ryan could have jumped up on the table, Earled. I don't know. What can she do that's worse than this? Why come April Ryan couldn't just say it? The obvious. Hey, I think Michelle Obama misspoke. I don't think it was a good thing. She shouldn't have said it. And then went on to say, why, let me defend it. Let me shift it. But instead, she tried to act like, she actually said, It may not have been great. It may not have been great. It may not have been great. I wonder if it would have been just may not great if a guy would have said it. You know, if a guy would say, if I was up there on my book tour, selling my book for profit, and I said, well, right now what America's going through is, being raised by a single mom. Can't keep a man, past their prime. Can't cook, never learned to cook, burns water, you know what I mean? Nag, 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 nag. Because there are women like that, right? I wonder if that would have just been, oh, well, it's not the greatest expression, the greatest thing to say. Oh, it's just not great. Every time I hear April Ryan, she sounds like somebody in quicksand who likes it. How'd she get the job, man? I know what it was. It was Trump tweeting her. It was Trump beating up on her. Trump, he elevated her. And now we got to listen to her. I mean, I got to listen to her because I got to do research. You don't have to. But it's just horrible. Now, for the record, let me just say this for all the guys out there. There was a time when I was a single dad. Me and the wife weren't together. This was years ago. I had full custody of my son. And I can cook. In fact, to this day, I'm a better cook than my wife. And she'll admit it. In fact, she's proud of it. So how dare April Ryan get up there and make that statement? I also was great when he was sick. Wife would have a tendency to freak out. But I know a little something about sponge baths and alcohol baths when the child gets a fever that doesn't make us end up in the emergency room. So Michelle Obama, what she said was offensive. It was a low blow. It was the saying that men weren't capable of raising children. And there are men that raise children all over this country. But April Ryan wasn't concerned about defending that. She's too busy defending one of the most powerful women, or forget women, one of the most powerful human beings on the planet. Michelle Obama. At the expense of all the men, all the single dads who do a great job. Of course, there'll be people who point out the ones that don't. But we could do that with any group of people, couldn't we? We can always point out the people that suck, the people that are horrible. But if that's what Michelle wanted to, that's the point she wanted to make, all she had to do was add an adjective. A bad single dad. Instead of just saying single dad, and she'd have been fine. And that's the point she could have made, April. I think she meant to say bad single dad. The end. But instead you have to act like water ain't wet, and skies aren't blue, and grass ain't green. No credibility whatsoever. April Ryan, a person who doesn't deserve to be on the mic, but is on the mic because life ain't fair. And maybe because Trump hasn't called me out yet and helped promote me. All right, so anyway, guys, thank you for tuning into this show. Someone sent this clip to April Ryan. She blocked me, so I can't send it to her. It's funny. When people people tweet like, oh, I'm blocked by this person. I went to Twitter profiles and they'll have a picture of somebody that blocked them and they're like, look at me, I'm blocked. And it's like really cool. It's like a badge of honor. Well, I have I'm blocked by the perfect people to be blocked for. It says all about who I am. I'm blocked by Neera Tanden, April Ryan, Joan Walsh, just to name a few. That says a lot. That says a lot about who I am and what I do. And I'm pretty proud of it, too. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all for tuning into the show. Find me at Real Tim Black on Twitter and on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram, though I haven't been there lately, at Tim Black at Night. We're going to kick some butt and take some names. And some of the names we might even get wrong because, hey, we're getting older. But we mean well. All right? Thank you, Wolfpack, for having my back. Don't forget to become a member of the Tim Black Wolfpack. Don't let nobody take your cornbread. Shout out to my man, Pete. Pete just had thyroid surgery and found a cancerous piece on his thyroid and he successfully removed it. He is cancer-free. Shout out to Pat. I love you, brother. Pat Sequin from Canada. I love you, boy. I appreciate you. I want to hear from you on Freedom Friday. Guys, I'll see you on the next one.